Hi again, everyone. Ken from Whittling the Woods, back again with another whittling wood carving tutorial. Today we're going to continue essentially from the last video that we did. Last video we did some basic mouths. We did a kind of a pouting face, a basic neutral face, kind of a smirky face, and a bearded face. What we're going to do this week, and I had mentioned it in the previous tutorial that I did, is we're going to do some open mouth whittles on this piece of wood. This time we're going to be using a piece of basswood. I wanted to switch it around a little bit, so this is a piece of basswood. You can see it's 1.25 inches. Again, the measurements aren't so critical. Just get yourself a squared off piece. It's 1.25 inches wide. This happens to be 6 inches long. The length really is not that important. But that's basically it. We're going to be using a different type of knife. We're going to be using this here knife. This is well, it was a boning knife that I cut down. I believe it was 7 inches long. I cut down and shaped it. I did it a while back, and I was able to get 2 knives out of it. This one here was basically the end of the knife. It extended out, like I said, 7 inches. So we got 2 knives, and it's just a piece of oak. I mounted the handle on a piece of oak, and this is the original handle it came with. So we're going to probably be using, maybe both of these knives. We'll see. But anyway, let me get everything set up, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm going to start here. What I suggest you do is probably, it would be a good idea to watch the 2 prior tutorials that I did. One was on the nose, and then one, like I showed you, the basic mouth. We're going to get to that point. I'm not going to repeat the process of getting it to the point where we have the nose in place and we're ready to do the mouth. That's in the prior tutorial. I don't want to be overly repetitive because I know that can be somewhat boring to somebody. But what I'll do on the first one is just kind of take it down a bit. I'm going to go really fast through here and kind of show you. That's all I do. I'm just taking it down. Again, watch the prior tutorials, or they'll step you through that. But let me just zoom through this part right here, and I'll be right back at the end of that. Okay, we're back here. I should have mentioned that I'll have timestamps in there so you don't have to sit through any part that you don't need to sit through. And again, I'm not gonna go through that process in each time I do this. We'll do like I said, we'll do a couple little variations here, just to kind of continue, because I think the open mouth is something that it's certainly doable. It's a little more involved, a little more steps to do, but it adds that additional little whittle that you can add to your figure carvings. Again, we're going to keep this the mouth section rounded, like I mentioned in the prior video. This is going to be, don't whittle this flat. Keep it round, because your mouth obviously curves around your face. So do it that way. I like to kind of go around, make sure everything's round, get it to where you want it. Like I mentioned in the prior video, we can leave the chin area to the end, but there you go. Let me clear some of that out so you see. And we just did a truncated version here, just to save time, with just a nose to give us a reference point for when we're doing the the mouth here. So what we're going to do in this one, the first mouth is basically a kind of a, you know, an open-lipped grin with the teeth showing both upper and lower. So we're going to find our midpoint, which let's say is right about here, and just draw a line right around, just slightly curved up, and that'll be about the width of the mouth. And typically what your mouth is going to be, they say for reference point, the end of your mouth should line up with your eyes, basically your eyeball. So if you kind of use that as a reference, the eyes would be right about here and here. So that's kind of where the mouth goes. And that's it. We're going to also put a little cut coming down this way and a little cut coming down this way. So it's pretty much like we did in the prior video, not all that different. You know, you can, if you watch those videos, you'll already be a head up on this one. Now we're just going to come in here and do a little bit of make a stop cut, following our line right across. You know, carefully secure, make sure your thumb is secure like we talked about in the prior video. And just put a little stop cut in there. I also come in here and I put a stop cut on that little line there, and another one over here. And then I also deepen the ends a bit, so I stick my knife right in the end there. So this little section, this little triangle is gonna be a little deeper than everything else. So again, over there. And then you just want to start basically cutting up to that stop cut. So we're gonna take out that little triangle section first over here, kind of like so. And I'm going to try to, and I apologize, in the last videos I had a viewer mentioned that I should slow down when I talk. I apologize if I've been talking too quickly. Maybe just slow the video speed down. I don't know, would that work? Anyway. That's it. We're just carefully cutting up to that stop cut in those little pieces. So it's kind of like we did in the prior video. Pretty much the same thing. I tried to make these approachable and doable for beginners. So, and I think it's just an easy way to do it. You're going to want to deepen this a little bit more here, because let's imagine these are going to be eventually teeth. So we want to set this back in a little bit before we were starting to form the lower lip in this area. But in this case, now we're going to deepen it a little bit more. So just kind of go around and start to deepen it a little bit. Once I get done, I'll show you from the profile. You can kind of see what we're talking about. Now I'm using basswood in this tutorial. Last few tutorials I did, I was using eastern white pine. This is an old piece of basswood, so hopefully it's in fact, it's got you can see it's got a bit of a knot in here, down here. So it's a kind of a, not the greatest piece, but it's probably a little bit better to use than eastern white pine, especially for carving a little detail. It doesn't chip out as much. So there you go, if you can kind of see. And we're probably going to go a little deeper than that too. I wouldn't worry about shaping the upper lip at this point, because you're still going to be doing a lot of cuts up to it, and you're gonna have to clean it up at the end. But there you go. So that's it. We basically did it like so. You can see the part here is recessed underneath that lip. Now you could actually, at this point, you could do it where he's kind of biting his lip. If you come in here and you do your lower lip, you can actually make it look like he's biting his lip, like he's nervous. You might want to angle the lips downward slightly if you're going for that character. But you can create different expressions in the mouth, and it can indicate quite a bit from in your little whittle. But there we go. Next thing we're going to do is establish where the bottom of the teeth and the top of the upper lip will be. So we're going to say let's say right about here. We'll give him a fairly decent sized grin, and we're going to kind of draw somewhat of a straight line. kind of like in like that. And then you can, right up to where we cut those little corner cuts in, we're going to come down slightly curved and just tie those in. So do that on both sides, just to give yourself a reference. So there you go. And if it's not symmetrical enough, fix it so you got it that way. So there. And this is all going to be, these are going to be the teeth in this section over here. And what we're going to do here is we're going to do another stop cut. So we're going to follow our line. We're going to start in at the bottom of that little corner cut and just kind of go right around. Take your time with these cuts. No sense rushing it. It doesn't help, and it's more dangerous. And just kind of follow it right around. Make a little stop cut so you have something to cut down too. All right. What I like to do at this point is deepen the corners here and here and here. So I stick my knife in those three locations. 1, 2, 3. The upper lip, the lower lip, and the corner. We're going to do the same over here. Here, here, and right on the corner. And excuse my angle. I normally wouldn't be carving it like that, but I'm trying to keep it in the in focus here. So there's that. And we're going to start by basically removing kind of, let's draw a line here, kind of like that and like that. That's what we're going to be shooting for, if you can kind of see where I drew those lines. And just come in here with your knife, and it may take a couple cuts to get that little chunk of wood out, like so. And don't worry about any pieces, in there that you haven't get out. You can clean those up later. And then same thing on this side. We're going to just just sort of go in here with our knife and work to take that little chip of wood out. What we're basically looking to do is we want to make the teeth go back into the head this way. So that's our first cut. We're going to wind up deepening these a little bit, and then as you can see, we have to take the teeth down a little bit. So we're going to start moving this down, just flattening this whole thing out a bit. And take your time. You can cut right down to it in little small chunks, just to flatten it out a bit. Again, their teeth, we want to make sure that they're behind the lips. We don't want them sticking. Well, I mean, it depends. If your character is got teeth that stick out, then maybe make them bigger. You can. We're basically doing the basic open mouth with teeth showing whittle here. So, and you're just going to kind of go around and flatten this all out a bit as much as possible. Take your time doing this because you want to kind of get it right. All right, so we're getting this down. So look at it from the side. What you're looking to do is trying to get this as flat as possible. And you want to, you're going to want to bring down this lower lip a little bit more. So, I leave a little bit on there to the end, and then I start, because we're going to be, sometimes you're cutting down, you might chip a little piece out. So now you're just finalizing the lip. You're going to want to get that down just a little bit, because you don't want the lower lip sticking out too much beyond the top lip over here. You do want to kind of eventually bring that in a bit. And as we did in the last video, we're going to do these little scooping kind of cuts at the bottom here. So just kind of go around the bottom. And this will help you determine how far back your teeth need to be. So I just keep kind of going in here, scooping out wood. getting it down a little bit more. Okay. We're getting there. And then once you get the, once you get the lip kind of where where it should be, and again, what you're aiming to do is get this lip approximately, at the same distance out from the center of the wood as the upper lip, or maybe slightly in further. That's all. And again, it's not, it depends on your character. You might want them to have a larger lower lip that kind of protrudes a little bit, and if that's the case, then you don't need to bring it back that much. Again, it's going to depend a lot on what kind of look you're going for in your character. And then come back and go around. Sometimes it helps to deepen your stop cuts a bit. I'm just going to go around and cut back the wood in here. What I typically like to have, and again, this is we're going with a fairly neutral. I think the first one you do, if you're just doing this, you go for a very neutral looking face. You don't try to add a whole heck of a lot of character to it at this point, because you just want to get the basics down. So what you're going to want is the lower teeth here are going to be slightly behind the upper teeth. So that's what you're kind of going for. You don't want them sticking out too much. Again, this is kind of that very. I'm saying neutral, but it's basically a generic looking face without a lot of whole heck of a lot of character to it. And then that's it. Clean up any areas that you see that need to be cleaned up a bit. If you got any broken or frayed wood, but don't worry about getting it all out at this point. We can kind of go back and deal with that. What I like to do then is also take a look and make sure that this area and this area are deep enough. To me, they're still sticking out a little bit too much, so I come back in here and I deepen that cut, maybe that cut, and again back in here again, and then I just I'm going to take out some more wood in here. Just to deepen those, to create more of a curve in the teeth. Otherwise, your teeth wind up just being straight across and flat, and that doesn't look right, because your teeth don't work like that. They curve around your mouth, and kind of go around and do that. I'm taking my time and kind of just going through this. I'm trying not to rush it. So I apologize if it's all basic stuff for people watching this, but there are some people who've never done this before, so they may want to see me doing it rather slowly. So how's that look? Pretty good. Now for the lower lip, if you remember what we did in the last video, we kind of went around and we did a little bit of a cut underneath here, and then we just kind of carried that up slightly on both sides. What I like to do is aim, well, you know what, let me do this first. So we're going to put a little stop cut in, and we're going to kind of cut up to that. Basically like we did with the last video. We're going to just start to form a bit of the lower lip here. If you kind of see how that is. What I like to do at this point is get it to a length that's close to the corner of the mouth. Somehow in here. And then we're going to basically come in from this angle. We're just going to we're going to put a little stop cut here and then remove a section of wood. A little stop cut kind of over here. And remove a section of wood. But first we're going to continue this side down, and then over here you see I put my knife in and I just go into that corner a bit. So I'm going to basically be cutting the lip off like that, and we're going to go in here and take out this little tiny chunk of wood, sort of like that. it's going to tuck the lower lip beneath it's going to tuck behind the corner of the mouth there. And you're going to kind of want to go around and just, shape it to the way you want it. So just start removing wood slowly to get that lip kind of tucked back in over there, if you can kind of see how that went. We want it to almost disappear when it gets to that point, when it gets to up into the corner over there. So you'll have to start going around and shaping all this. This is going to be teeth eventually, but for the time being, it's and just kind of come there and smooth out that wood a bit. Let's do the same thing over here. We're going to put a little cut on our lip over there, kind of into that corner. Extend that corner down a bit, and then take out that little chunk of wood right in there. It's kind of like we did on the last video. It's pretty similar to that. And then just kind of shave it out a bit. Again, we'll come in here and keep removing what is necessary. I like to do it in steps like this because I think sometimes if you take out too much wood all at once, you wind up creating situations that are difficult to go back and adjust and correct. So it's better to do it in little steps like that. Get it to the point where the lower lip is essentially disappearing, in the fold of the corners of the mouth into where the upper lip kind of comes together. So we have something like that. Then we're going to go around and just shape this lower lip a bit more, just to kind of round it a bit. And what I like to do is then come in and start cleaning up these edges a bit more, just to get rid of the wood, the extra frayed wood, and then maybe round this edge a little bit. Come in here and just make really light cleaning up cuts, basically. Once you get it shaped to where you want it, kind of like so. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side too. We're just going to come in here and start cleaning things up a bit. Again, like I mentioned, the open mouth is a little bit more involved than the closed mouth versions that we did in the last tutorial. So you're gonna have to take your time and do this slowly and practice. Get a piece of wood like this and just do a bunch of little practice whittles on it until you get it down and you get the steps down to where you kind of know what you're doing. And the wood itself is going to kind of hold a little surprises for you. It may hold together, may chip out. So you want to always be able to go back and correct things as need be. Once you get the basic steps down, and again, these are just following the same steps. And once you get the process down, it's just very, very repetitive, and all of them are kind of the way I'm doing it. I've kind of made them so they follow essentially you know, a similar process. And that's kind of where we're at right now. So we have the lip, the lower lip, just an indication of it. Again, the thing you're going to have here, and it's going to depend again, like I said, I don't want to keep repeating this, but it is going to depend on the type of character. But typically when you have your mouth open like this, the lip stretches in this direction, so it kind of thins out. If you look at your own mouth, your lip, when you have a big wide open smile or a grin and your teeth are showing, your lip stretches a bit, so it's going to look a little thinner. You know, you're going to want to kind of do that in your character. I also like to kind of scoop out a little bit in the center portion of the lip here. So there's where we're at. The other thing we're going to do here now is put a line for the teeth. We're going to come in here and we're basically going to, let's say we want the upper teeth to end right about there, the bottom of the upper teeth. So we're just going to kind of carry this line pretty much straight around. So it's kind of like that. And then basically we're going to put our knife in here. There's a couple ways to do it. Let's try it this way. We're just going to put our knife and then rock it to form a stop cut on that line. Maybe a little bit easier doing it that way. And you just kind of rock it around. It forms a bit of a stop cut. You could actually, if you want, end it there and call that good. And that might be sufficient too for the look, especially in a smaller carving. Maybe that's all you need, just an indication of a separation between the teeth. But what I like to do is, like I mentioned, I like to cut up a little bit to the upper teeth like this, to that stop cut we just made. So the lower teeth seem to be kind of behind or slightly recessed compared to the upper teeth, you know, like they would be in a normal mouth, if there is any such thing as a normal mouth. So as you can see, they're kind of behind a bit. And again, these are small little cuts that you're going to have to make. Take your time. Don't do it too fast. Okay, so we have our basic mouth over there with the teeth showing. You know, make sure the ends are deeper here. Sometimes you have to kind of go in there and you know, keep tucking these teeth back in a bit. You know, just kind of, it's a bit of a little fussy little cuts to make to get in there and get them deep, because it's kind of small. If you're doing a larger figure, that's, you know, on a block of wood that's 2.5 inches wide, you know, you're gonna have a little more room to work. But you know, kind of work in there and clean it up. The other tool that's nice to have is a good old toothbrush, because obviously if we're doing teeth, we need to brush his teeth a bit. So you can kind of go in there and just clean up any little frayed pieces of wood that you might see in there, just to kind of clean it up. And then if you want, you can actually define the teeth. We're going to start with we're going to do it pretty basic here. We're going to give him one little cut over here for the front tooth and the bottom tooth. Then we're going to determine how big we want our front tooth, two front teeth to be. We're going to say maybe here, and then come across and do it over there. Maybe one right underneath it and underneath it. You can probably go back in here and get one more cut in. It gets a little tough when you get back this way. Again, if you're using a knife, if you're using a gouge and you have V-gouges and stuff like that, you know, it's probably easier to go in there and then chip them right out. But I kind of want to just work it through with a knife for the time being. But that's it, you know. And you could come in here then at this point and just put your stop cuts in for each tooth. So kind of come in and put your knife in on each of those marks. flip it around, and do the same thing on the bottom. So there you go. We put little cut marks in. What I like to do is I define the teeth by rounding them out a bit. So we basically go in here, and again, if you had a V gouge, you could just kind of come up on those lines and do it in maybe one shot. But you know, we're whittling with one knife here. So what I like to do is put a little relief cut at the top. I'm going to start with the center one so you can kind of see. What I do is I put my knife just slightly outside the cut and I press it in. So it forms a little relief cut. And when I say that, here's why. Because I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to go from the bottom and just up at the top and take out a little chunk of wood over there. So it kind of, as you can kind of see, it rounds the tooth a bit. And then you're going to, you know, wind up doing the same thing on the other side. Just come in there and take it out. And that relief cut helps that wood pop out when you're done your cut. And same thing on all these. Relief cut, come up, take that piece out, flip it around, and go back and do the other side. So now you're just rounding the teeth, adding the little curve in there. Kind of like that. You could do this in kind of an assembly line way. You do it, you know, 1, 2, 3, your relief cuts, and then go down one side and flip it around and go back the other side. I just happen to be doing it this way for tutorial purposes. But that's all we're doing. We're just going in here and we're shaping the teeth, rounding them a bit, rather than just having these little blocks in our mouth. And you don't have to, but I think if you can kind of see, it adds that extra dimension to the teeth, so they look kind of a little bit more like teeth, as much as you're going to have in a little whittle. And then same thing over here, your little relief cut. And come in here and just take out a chunk of wood. And then we're going to go on the other side and do the same thing. And let's take out a little bit of wood over there. So that's basically all we're doing here in terms of shaping the teeth. So you can kind of see how we did, and we're going to wind up doing the same thing on the bottom. I'm not going to bore you with the details. You saw me do it, so no use playing that again. So let me just finish that up, and I'll be right back. Okay, all the little stop cuts are in there. Now the other thing you could do is to take little corner cuts out of the bottom of each of these teeth. Just little notches. I know sometimes it looks slightly better that way. Again, these are not necessary. Maybe just do it on the your two front teeth. I don't know. It's up to you if you want to do that or not. Again, it's not necessary, but I think rounding the teeth slightly just make it reads better as teeth. So that's all I'm doing. I'm just kind of going around and taking little cuts out of some of them just to round them off a bit. That's all. This is where you're just going to go around and start just adding whatever little detail you think is necessary to your carving. And I'm just kind of showing you, you know, the main way of doing it, or I should say, the basic way to approach doing teeth in an open grin or open smile. There's obviously many other ways you can approach it, and I'm doing it with a knife. If you have gouges, there's other ways to do it. I like whittling with a knife. I find the single knife type whittles are appealing to me. But in some respects they present a little bit of a challenge. I have a full set of Swiss-made gouges, full-size gouges that I bought when I was doing years ago when I was doing relief carving and stuff like that. And they're great. They're phenomenal tools. The thing I find with gouges, and it doesn't have to be an expensive set like the Swiss-made kind, but they're a lot to maintain. I like a knife. It's very easy. I can take my strop here, and you've seen, again, I did a couple videos back, I showed you how I maintain my knives. There's a little stick with some leather and honing compound on it, and I just, periodically I'll strop my knives this way, both sides. It's simple to do, easy, and they're easy to maintain. I kind of, as I've gotten older, I find that I'd rather spend more time whittling than maintaining tools. So, but again, nothing wrong with using gouges. You can add some unique features to your piece. But there you go. We basically did the mouth here with teeth, and kind of grinning, like a cheesy politician, I guess. Excuse me for anyone who's a politician watching this, but do politicians actually whittle? Anyway, you can, again, if you saw from my other video, you can put the filstrum in here by just putting a little cut on the top over here, just kind of like so. You see me go in and just cut up to it, or cut along it, just kind of like we did with the teeth, actually, and just to kind of create that little bit of a indentation. What I like to do also is come back in here and go from the center. Again, if you watch the other videos, for the upper lip, I just start to trim it. I kind of come in here at a slight angle, and I just kind of cut down carefully just to kind of round that lip out a bit. Makes it look, rather than just having it squared off, it kind of rounds it out just a bit. Not too much. For these type of figures, And the same thing on this side. Just kind of round it down. Makes it look more like gives it more of that lip look. And that's it. And then just go around and clean up your piece as need be. But that's basically it. What you want to do sometimes is a nice thing to do is get your toothbrush, get it a little wet, and then kind of just run it on there. It'll tighten up some of the carvings and give you kind of an indication of how it'll actually look. And you can see it actually quickly kind of improves the look. So, but there you go. Now don't go back in when it's wet like this and start, it doesn't, if you don't use a lot of water, it dries pretty quickly. If you use your knife, make sure you dry it off, because you don't want to, if you're using a knife with a lot of carbon in it, it'll rust pretty quickly. But there you go. We did our first little mouth that way. We're going to flip it around and do another one. So, but the other thing I didn't do here is a chin, and it's basically like we did on the other ones. We're going to come around here and just kind of cut it out. But for the time being, I'm not gonna do that right now. I'll come back once we do the other whittle, and maybe we'll add that in. But then we'll do that. But that gives you kind of something to work towards here, and that's it. Kind of a fun open little mouth thing. There you go. Okay, I'm going to get set up and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back here. We're going to do our second whittle. This is the first one we did with the mouth open and both teeth exposed. This one we're going to have the top teeth exposed, and then the mouth is going to be open a little bit wider, and you're just going to see the indication of the tongue on the bottom there. So not quite sticking the tongue out, but as if he's got a big open mouth grin, and his tongue is kind of protruding a little bit. Just kind of another little style you can add to your arsenal. So we're going to start the same way. We're just going to kind of draw a bit of a line over here and across the top, indicating where the upper lip is going to be. And same kind of thing. Again, we're going to follow the same principle here. We're going to do our lines like that, so nothing too complicated here. We just did it on the prior video, so I'm not going to walk you through it step by step. So I'm just going to kind of zoom through this as I do it. Okay, there you go. Pretty much exactly the same as we did on the first one. And again, I'm just going to mention one more time that the whole way I've kind of, well, I guess you could say designed or just set these videos up is that they follow a very, in respect to doing the mouth and the other 4 we did in the last tutorial, they follow a similar pattern. Well, one we did with a beard and mustache, and that's a little different. But when you're doing a mouth, whether it's open or closed, or has a grin or a smile or a sad face, they pretty much all follow the same principles, and that's what I'm trying to do here. So when you're doing your own whittle, you can go from one to to another. Once you have the basic steps down, you're pretty much good to go. So with this one here, as you can see, I'm going to show you on the profile, we came down approximately right about here for the lower lip. This guy's going to have his mouth open just a little bit wider. So if we were about here, I would say, yeah, about there on the other one. Let's come down just a little bit further. So maybe we're going to bring it all the way down to here, and you can see that's going to be quite a bit further. So we're going to draw our line in there, and then connect it to those corners. The other thing to keep in mind with these figures, they're sort of, I want to say, like cartoon based. I don't know that your mouth would actually open exactly like this, but what we're trying to do is simplify some of the form and be able to express it that way through our whittles. And again, since we're whittling, it's called whittling because we're using a knife, and to me that epitomizes the definition of what it means to whittle. So you're using a knife and you're shaping wood in a way. Now some people might say, well, whittling could be gouges. Well, yeah, of course it could. This is the way I look at it and the way I approach it. So there you go. I think this side's a little off, so I'm going to make this a little bit out further. Again, this is probably a good thing to go through. When you put your lines in here, they're going to be your reference points. Get your lines correct because they're easy to change. Once you cut into the wood, it makes it quite a bit more difficult. And again, we're going to follow the same thing. We're just going to come down here, make a stop cut on our line, and follow it around. Don't worry about going. Don't try to put the knife in there too deep because you're always going to come back and deepen it anyway. So just get enough in there so you can start getting making a stop cut. That's all. I don't go too deep because if you go real deep into wood and you're pushing and you're going around a curve, maybe you're forcing the knife and you slip, and that's when you start cutting yourself. So again, be careful and be cognizant of the fact that whittling can be very safe as long as you're mindful where the cutting edge of the knife is. You don't want it in here. You want it in here. I think that's pretty obvious, but. And like I mentioned before in a couple videos, I have cut myself a couple times whittling, but most of the times when I wind up cutting myself, it's because I'm not paying attention and it's actually doing something not related to whittling, sharpening a knife, putting knives away, not being mindful of the cutting edge of the knife, and I think that's the key. Whittling is not a dangerous hobby. It's a lot safer than a lot of woodworking type things. I mean, we're not dealing with big spinning blades and band saws and table saws and router bits and all that kind of stuff, which are exceedingly more dangerous. The injuries in those can be quite a bit more significant. But again, it's always, you're dealing with a sharp instrument, so pay attention to where the cutting edge is. Again, we're going to come in here and deepen the corners a bit. So we're going to go there. Same thing we did last time. Make our 3 stop cuts, just like so. And then come in here and just kind of take out a bit of wood. And it's going to get us started in rounding the face out. So, or excuse me, rounding the teeth out. So that's all. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So stop cut, and stop cut. And then just kind of come back and get that little chunk of wood out. All right, and then in here we're going to deepen these even more, because this is going to be, this time the bottom is going to be the tongue. The lower teeth are going to be hidden behind the tongue, because he's going to kind of he's making a crazy grin smile here, and he's got his tongue exposed. So I think that's a common look too. If when people smile, sometimes their lower teeth aren't you don't necessarily see their lower teeth sometimes. They're tucked behind the lower lip, and you kind of see a tongue protruding. So there you go. Spend your time, if you want, clean up some of this stuff. I'm not going to be too concerned about that right now. What we're going to work on here is the upper teeth right from the get-go here. So we're going to kind of come around here. Going to give them a big set of upper teeth, I think, and kind of bring it right around. So there we go. Same thing. We can rock our knife in the wood here to make that stop cut. Like so. And then let's start cutting up to that. Now we're going to deepen this quite a bit more, because it's going to recess back, because it's going to eventually be the tongue. See from the side over there. It's similar to what we did on the last one. The only thing we're going to start doing here is shaping the tongue a bit. So we're going to start removing kind of the ends of the tongue a bit here, the sides a bit more. We're just going to come in here. We can put a stop cut, kind of like we did with the teeth up over here. Put a stop cut, another stop cut, and just start beginning to angle the tongue a bit. Stop cut, and angle the tongue a bit. So it's kind of like so. And then flatten this out just a bit more if you can. Go back in there. Get it deep. You want it to kind of look like a tongue, so. So we got the basics in here, like that. I'm going to see from the side. Next thing we'll start to do here is let's work on that lower lip again. Same idea. We're going to come in here, bring it around slightly, and eventually we're going to tie it in to the corner, just like we did the last time. So just put some guiding marks for your knife. And if you want, just another way to do it is, again, like we did with the teeth separation. Just roll your knife in there. You can form the stop cut that way as well. Kind of see. I start to, again, we're going to start taking some of this part of the mouth back a little bit further in here like we did over there. So we're going to start kind of shaping that out a little bit more. It'll allow us to define our lower lip. I just wanted to set the boundary for where the lip's going to be. We're going to cut that back a little bit further, but let's just kind of take out some wood around here. Follow straight around. And then we're going to start taking down the lip just a bit. You can kind of see from the front. All right, let's kind of cut up the side just a bit more on both sides here. And kind of see how we did that. Now what we're going to do, same thing. We're going to extend this line down a little bit more on both sides. So we're going to extend that down just a bit on both sides. You can see how I did that. I just put my knife in there. Then we can come in here with our knife and we'll go right up. There's where we extended it, so we're going to go kind of right up into there, and we're going to start trimming back the lip just a bit more. So I'm going to come in here. I'm just going to take my knife in there and put a little cut. And then we'll take out, there should be a little triangle piece of wood in here that we're going to just basically take out. And then we're going to, like we did last time, just trim this back a bit. You can see. And then we'll thin this out. Work your way around. Tuck it back in. I like to get it pretty much flat again, and have it kind of just disappear into that fold. You kind of see how that went over there, where the lip is kind of just disappearing. It's getting tucked behind this lip over here. I like to get everything established, and then I kind of come back and I start to shape and clean up everything. This is the way I do it. So you can kind of see how we did that. The lips being kind of pulled in and up under what is essentially the corner of the mouth over there in an open mouth. Grin, smile, whatever. This is probably the fussiest part of it, the whole thing, is getting that lower lip to kind of tuck back in there like that. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We made our little cut over here, so we're just going to come and we're going to come right to kind of where the edge is and just put our knife in there, because we're going to relieve this little triangular piece of wood, which is, again, I'm just going to show you with my knife, or excuse me, with the pencil. It's kind of that little triangular piece over here. We want to kind of start to. This is how I start to relieve that piece, to start to shrink down that lip, and then I come back like I did on the other side, and I start just paring it down a bit more. Take your time, go around, get it to where you like it. You're going to round this edge too a bit, so you're going to come back and start carefully doing that. If you're going against the grain, take your time. And same thing over here. Round this a bit. So we're getting our lip kind of tucked back in there, as you can see. you're going to have some areas of wood back in here, when we took out for the upper teeth. You're going to have to come back and probably clean some of that up at some point. Just go in there with your knife and any kind of frayed pieces of wood. Start cleaning it up as you go around. So we have it like that. So you can see he's got his mouth open and he's got a tongue kind of forming in here. So this is going to be his tongue. I still like to take the tongue back a little bit more on the side. So I'm going to start just shaping this back. It's a little too big right now. We want it kind of rounding on the sides here because it's, the tongue is going to be, it's got to have a little bit of a curve to it as well. So go back in here and deepen the corners. And then even in the center, you're going to take little swooping cuts just to shape that tongue a little bit more. Start trimming the lower lip where you like it. Now you could make it where its tongue is actually sticking out. If you want, you could have left wood and have the whole tongue protrude out. If you want to make it so he's sticking his tongue out, you could do that. But we're going to be polite here and not have him stick out his tongue. But I've done whittles like that where they're sticking, and it's silly. It's meant to be comical, and you see a lot of tikis too like that where they have the tongues kind of coming out. But in this one, we're going to have it just like you would if you had a big smile, laugh going on. You're going to have your tongue slightly showing. And then when you go back and you paint these. You're going to paint the tongue like a pinkish color. But you can kind of see we have a bit of a tongue look in there. And the rest is just shaping. That's it is with a lot of these. Once you get the your basic cuts and your lips formed and everything else. The rest is just going back like we did on the other one, just shaping things out, shaping the teeth to how you like it, whether you're going to do the teeth with cuts in it. But you can kind of see we got it going on over there. It's looking okay. I mean, maybe you don't think so, but... Okay, I'm not going to sit here and just do a lot of the cleanup work. What we're going to do is the same thing with the teeth. As you saw me doing the other one, I'm going to give them a little bit of bigger teeth here. I think on the front here. Let's make his two front teeth even larger. I think slightly larger, and then maybe just one cut over here, and then one cut over here. Something like that, I think. So you can kind of see. Again, we're going to just come in here, cut, right around. And from the last one you saw, I put the relieving cuts up at the top, all across here. It just relieves the wood as we round the teeth out. And then we're just going to come back and start to take little cuts like this to round the teeth. What I like to do sometimes also is to make the two front teeth stand out a little bit more. I'll cut back a little bit on the other teeth in the mouth to make them look a little bit smaller. We're going to come in here and maybe just kind of trim it back just a little bit more. Kind of like so, if you can see how that went. So his two front teeth just look a little bit more like buck teeth, I guess, or I don't know, whatever you call that. It just, makes it more comical and fun to look at. And sometimes, your teeth actually are like that. Your front teeth incisors are a little bit bigger. So you kind of see, we just did that. And then we're just going to come, like I said, go back. You start doing your cleanup work here. Since his teeth are protruding beyond the tongue here, unlike the fact that, well, the other one we had the lower teeth that were up against it, you're going to have to kind of come underneath, as you can see I just did over here, and trim these out a little bit as well. Give them that separation. I like to undercut the teeth in this case a little bit as well. And that's just referring to the fact that you're on in this plane, the bottom plane, you're cutting slightly upward, just a bit. When I say undercut. So that's that, and it's almost pretty much done. We're just going to go back, and this is where you go back and you start doing your little cleanup stuff, getting rid of all those little frayed pieces of wood, and clean up the deeper cuts a bit. Make sure your teeth separation. And we're kind of there. I mean, we kind of have it done. Look at it from all sides. Look at it from the side. Make sure. Sometimes it helps to go upside down and see. You'll see little things like there's a little bit of frayed wood in here that we're gonna have to go back and clean up. But that's what the cleanup phase is for, and that's what we're doing now. So I'm not going to bore you with a lot of the cleanup because, like I said, all that is just going back and redefining any of your cuts that need to be cleaned up and re-emphasized, and adding any little small other details that you might want to have. And again, I like to also kind of trim this a little bit more. But that's about it. I'm just going to kind of go around here. Sometimes what I do is when I'm done, I take this area here back just a little bit with my knife. I'll come back in here and I'll just kind of take it back on both sides. And again, this is going to be difficult, but to keep it in the camera, I'm just going to kind of show you. I just come back here and I trim that just a bit, just to clean it up. And then in here as well, we're just going to come back in, and you're going to start just making little cuts to clean everything up, get rid of your pencil marks and everything else. Rounding things out, we're going to round. We don't want a lot of hard edge corners if we can avoid it on the lip folds over here. So we're just going to come back and start cleaning all that up. All right, I'm going to just finish cleaning up this and come back, and we'll shape the bottom of the lower jaw on both of these and call it good. Be right back. Okay, back, just kind of cleaned it up a bit, and some points just, remember to keep the tongue in this area cut back a little bit, as you can see, kind of like what we were doing. Shape the mouth and the lips. You're gonna have the lips kind of stretching up into there, so they're gonna start to disappear as they go up into that fold on the corner of the mouth. And we gave them kind of crazy looking teeth there, but it makes the character fun. And when you paint it, you're gonna paint it that pinkish color of the tongue. And then your rest of it, you're gonna go back and just kind of establish your jaw line however you want it. Just I'm going to real quick here just kind of show you, because it looks sort of finished when it has a jaw to it. You can make it, you know, you can shape these any way you want. Again, everything's going to be kind of stretched over here because he's smiling. He's got a big grin. This one, you know, he's smiling and he's got a grin too, but his mouth isn't open quite as much, so it's not going to be pulled as much on the bottom. Alrighty, that's pretty much the whittle here. We finished it up here. Kind of run around and cleaned a few things up. You know, like I said, go in there and, you know, make sure you're deep in here and in here. You get your teeth the way you want them to, and you can see we got two interesting little mouth whittles done here. One with a just your normal you know, grin here with kind of teeth just exposed there, kind of showing on both sides. And then we got one here with a big, like happy, smiling. Something funny happened. He's laughing at something. So there you go. Two little ones here. I hope you found those these two little whittles helpful and useful. I appreciate any feedback in the comments. It's always welcome. One of my viewers had mentioned additional expressions on the face, maybe ears or something of that nature, and so in maybe some coming up videos, we'll look into doing more of that. But anyway, again, I hope you found this useful, and have a great whittling week. Talk to you soon.